Hello, welcome back. In our previous video, Mrs. Ehrenreich focused our attention on the norms and standards funding available to schools and the expectations around the spending of the allocation from the state. She also highlighted which areas of local expenditure was not to be funded by the state allocation. In this video, we turn our attention to the status of the school as an employer. SGBs may employ staff, but our experiences often highlight gaps in the employment relationship or deficiency in the employment setup because of poorly constructed contracts of employment or no contracts or a lack of understanding of the labor laws that govern an employment relationship. So, let's give you an overview of the major legislation that must be looked at before employing anyone via the SGB. Note these laws highlight the responsibilities and rights and obligations of the employer towards the employee and vice versa. There are 7 major pieces of legislation that all employers must be aware of in terms of the impact on employment practice. The first law to keep in mind is the supreme overarching one, namely the South African Constitution or the Bill of Rights. The Constitution fundamentals focus on human dignity, equality, and freedom. The Constitution provides clear guidelines with regard to employment relations. Section 23 of the Constitution specifically deals with labor relations. It stipulates the following: that everyone has the right to fair labor practices, every worker has the right to form and join a trade union, every worker has the right to participate in the activities and programs of a trade union, and every worker has the right to strike. In terms of the employer, the following stipulations are contained in Section 23. Firstly, that every employer has the right to form and join an employees' organization and to participate in the activities and programs of an employees' organization. Secondly, every trade union and every employees' organization has the right to do the following: A, determine its own administration, programs and activities; B, to organize; and C, to form and join a federation. The second law is the Labor Relations Act, or LRA. This is the centerpiece of labor law, and all other labor laws are subordinate to the LRA. The primary objectives of the LRA is to realize and regulate the fundamental rights of workers and employers in the Constitution and to entrench the following rights. Among others, that everyone has the right to fair labor practices. The third law is the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, or the BCEA. The primary objectives of the BCEA is to give effect to and regulate the right to fair labor practices as contained in Section 23.1 of the Constitution by establishing and enforcing basic conditions of employment, and also to give effect to obligations incurred by the Republic as a member of the International Labour Organization, or the ILO. The fourth law to consider as an employer is the Occupational Health and Safety Act, or the OHSA. The OHSA makes provision for, among others, the health and safety of people at work and in relation to their use of operating equipment and machinery, and the protection of other people against threats to their health and safety arising from the activities of people at work. Understand that each employee must take reasonable precautions at work for his or her own safety and health, and that of other people who may be affected by his or her actions or failures, whilst each employer must establish and maintain a work environment that is safe and without risk to the health of its employees. The fifth act applicable to an employment contract is the Unemployment Insurance Fund, or UIF. This act applies to all employers and employees other than employees employed for less than 24 hours a month with a particular employer. It is a compulsory insurance scheme to which both employees and employers contribute 1% each of the wages and salaries of a worker. The fund seeks to provide limited relief to workers that cannot work due to illness, maternity, adoption, dependence, or unemployment. The sixth act affecting an employer is the Skills Development Levies Act, or SDLA. The purpose of the SDLA, or the rationale, is for a national levy scheme for skills development and is premised on the assumption that effective skills formation requires a strong link between occupationally based education and training and the workplace. The Skills Development Levies Act provides a regulatory framework to address the current low level of investment by companies in training. The Act establishes a compulsory levy scheme for the purposes of funding education and training as envisaged in the Skills Development Act. The Act further introduces a levy equivalent to 1% of an employer's payroll per month. Employers must pay this levy to the Commissioner for the South African Revenue Services. In some instances, monies can be paid directly to the particular SETA or Sector Education Training Authority. The seventh Act is the Compensation for Occupational Injuries and Diseases Act, or COIDA. This allows for compensation to be paid to an employee who, as a result of his or her activities at work, is partially or totally disabled or contracts an occupational disease. This brings us to the end of this video, looking at the major pieces of legislation affecting the employment relationship. In the next video, we will look at the BCA in more detail as well as the employment contract. In the meantime, do subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the notification bell to receive alerts when new videos are loaded. You're also most welcome to leave a comment in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, thank you for your feedback, and we will see you soon. Goodbye.